Hi everyone, my name is Phoebe Wooldridge, and today I'm going to be talking about a little something called the passion myth. How many of you have something you're passionate about? Something you could talk about for hours? Well, to be honest, every time someone asked me what my passion was, my mind instantly blanked. Every time someone asked that forbidden question, I got so scared. In my sophomore English class, we had journal writing prompts every day, one of which asked us to write about something we were passionate about in 10 minutes. Everyone around me immediately got to work and seemingly came up with an idea easily. But I sat and stared at my paper for what felt like forever, trying and failing to come up with an idea. Eventually, the timer was up and I still had nothing but my name on my paper. I felt so embarrassed, like everyone knew something about themselves that I didn't. Like they all knew exactly where their lives were headed, but I still had no idea. For some reason, I could never quite figure out what I was passionate about. So when I decided I wanted to do a TEDx talk, I thought long and hard about a topic that I felt passionate enough to talk about. But of course, I got nothing. So I did what every high school student has done at some point. I turned to ChatGPT, and I searched for what felt like hours, trying and still failing to come up with an idea. So I gave up. I decided that junior year was not the time to be stressing about a speech I didn't know how to write. But I couldn't escape the questions. How can I fill all of my time with so many activities for so long and yet not have a passion, or even something I could talk about for just 10 minutes? So with all of these questions swirling around in my head, I came back to doing a TEDx talk. I asked my friends for help on what to talk about. And while their ideas were good, none of them felt right or authentic. This, of course, led to the classic spiral of questioning my life's decisions and wondering how, again, I could not have a passion when I'm filling every moment of my time. So, with college applications inevitably looming in my future, I took a second to step back and look at what I was really filling my time with. School, tennis, SAT prep, volunteering, the occasional club meeting, all of your typical high school activities, right? But what was the point of doing these things if I wasn't passionate about them? But that's when it finally clicked for me. It wasn't that I would never find my passion, it's that I was trying too hard to force one. I wanted so badly to be passionate about getting good grades, being the best at tennis, and being super involved that I had mixed up continuously doing something with passion. I was forcing my passions to be superficial and unfulfilling. And this realization showed me that not having a passion isn't a flaw. In fact, not knowing your passion until later in life can sometimes be a good thing. It gives your brain time to fully develop and helps you understand how to best follow your passions when you do find them. Everyone's going to have a passion at some point in their life, so there's no need to rush to have it all figured out right now. Now, we've all seen and heard of the cinematic stories of people finding and following their one true passion for life, which has created this idea of a one passion mentality. And this idea is fed by pressures from things like movies, social media, and even school. We live in a world where passion has become a buzzword. Everywhere you look, everyone seems to have their thing. The coding prodigies, the student athletes, the young entrepreneurs. And if you don't know your thing yet, it can feel like you're already behind. This is known as the passion myth, or the belief that in order to be happy and successful, you need to have and follow one lifelong passion. Psychologists have actually studied this belief, and one study from Stanford found that those who believe they are born with a passion are more likely to give up when things get difficult, whereas those who believe they develop their passions later in life are more resilient and find stronger interests. Now, again, this doesn't mean knowing your passion from a young age is bad. It simply means you don't need to pressure yourself to know it right now. The passion myth isn't a human truth, hence the name myth. Rather, it's a modern invention that couldn't be further from the truth. Now, it seems like everyone has their passion figured out, but in actuality, there are three kinds of people when it comes to finding and following a passion. Number one, the deep divers. These are the people who dive head first into one lifelong passion, the kind you see and hear the most about. They're the musicians singing into hairbrushes as toddlers, and the athletes who've been training since the age of 5. And though these people are very rare, this is what we see and hear the most about, because this is what society celebrates with its one true passion mentality. Which leads me to the second kind of person, the multi-hyphenates. These are the people who have a bunch of smaller passions and bounce back and forth between projects. They thrive with variety and flexibility, like that one creative friend who's always coming up with new business ideas. And the third kind of person is the slow burners. These are the people who develop their passions over time, and often without even realizing. They let their interests grow organically, like that one classmate who accidentally becomes an artist, starting with casual doodling in a notebook, but ending with a full-blown talent and passion. Now, we've talked about what passion can look like, but I want you to think about what it can feel like. I want you to think about the last time that you felt genuinely curious about something. Not because someone told you to, not because it looked good on an application, but because it genuinely made you stop and think, that's cool. Hold that moment in your minds for just a second. Now, with that in mind, I want to try something with all of you. If you think you're part of the first category, the deep divers, hold up a 1. If you think you're part of the second category, the multi-hyphenates, hold up a 2. And if you think you're part of the third category, the slow burners, hold up a 3. Great. Now I want to introduce a fourth category, the explorers. These are the people who, like me, don't know what their passions are yet, and often don't even know how to find them. They may simply be along for the ride or stressing about the future, but they don't quite know what they're passionate about. Now, I want you all to put your numbers back up, but this time, if you think you're part of the fourth category, the explorers, hold up 4. Now, take a second to look around at all of the different kinds of people we have when it comes to finding and following a passion. Thank you. You can put your hands down now. Now, the whole point of this was to show you that there's no right or wrong way to finding and following your passions. Some of you may know what you want to do with your lives. Some of you are already doing that. But some of us don't know yet, and that is perfectly okay. Now, you might have heard that I mentioned the word yet there. So I want to introduce a concept to all of you, the concept of the power of yet. And I'm sure a lot of you have heard of this concept, but just in case you haven't, the power of yet basically states that instead of saying, I can't do this, one should say, I can't do this yet. This is meant to show that a skill that cannot currently be done can be gained over time through effort and persistence. Now, let's take this and apply it to finding and following a passion. You may think you don't have a passion, but in reality, you don't have a passion yet. This doesn't mean you won't ever know your passion. It just means that you're still searching for that one thing that you seem to keep coming back to. Now, hearing all of this, it may seem obvious that it is perfectly okay to not know your passion. But if that's really the case, why are so many of us afraid when we realize we don't know our passions? I found that this boils down to 3 main reasons: fear of being wrong, fear of being judged, and fear of being mediocre. For me, it was the latter. I was so obsessed with making my resume look perfect that I had missed out on a crucial step of my high school experience: finding out what I enjoy and doing it, even if only temporarily. One of the biggest questions that I could not escape was how can I not only keep up with my classmates, but be better than them? I was afraid of being average, and because of that fear, I was constantly comparing myself to my peers. I thought that because I didn't have it all figured out, I needed to further and fully commit myself to school, tennis, and all the other activities just to make up for a lack of a passion. At one point, I even convinced myself that maybe I was just boring. Everywhere I looked, everyone seemed to have their story. And I remember thinking, what's my story? But the truth was, I didn't have one. Not yet. That passion myth I had mentioned earlier, it had taken over my life. But just like the passion myth is untrue, it's also a myth that you need a passion to be considered above average. So with time, and honestly some uncomfortable moments, I learned one thing that's very important. Being above average isn't about your passion or your outcome at all. Rather, it's about your effort, your persistence, and your willingness to keep growing even when you don't have it all figured out. So if you're putting in the effort to grow, learn, and discover what sparks your passion, you can't be considered average at all. Now, people still ask me what I'm passionate about, but now I just say I don't know yet. And the key word there is yet, because I'm still figuring it out, and that is perfectly okay. But since so many of us don't know what our passions are, what if we changed our questions? Instead of asking someone, what are you passionate about? Let's ask them, what are you curious about right now? Curiosity is smaller, gentler, and much more honest. It shifts the goal from declaring one lifelong passion to building a life full of experimenting and discovering what sparks your curiosity. Shifting our focus to curiosity and growth over passion would take so much pressure off of all of us. So, my challenge for you is this. Give yourself permission to explore. Quit things, try new ones, change directions, ask questions, join the club you know nothing about. Try everything while you still can, and don't be afraid of being wrong, judged, or mediocre. These things don't define you. The courage to keep growing does. Passion isn't something you find by force. It's something you discover by going out and living in a way that gives passion the chance to find you. So don't pressure yourself to have it all figured out. Instead, go out and live in a way that gives passion the chance to find you. Thank you.